ASPIEs at work.
Environment is a problem for some people, so it may well be as an employer that you have to do an audit of the environment and think about how does this person work best, how do they perform best, where's the best place for them to sit, to be, to work, is it noise, is it light, is it people, what is it that might be influencing their ability to do all of that kind of thing. We also have to be aware, of course, that a vast majority of Asperger people suffer from accompanying mental health problems of anxiety and depression. An awareness sometimes that despite being able, that you're not achieving the things that people around you are achieving. And that could certainly legitimately get you down in quite a big way. Support needs to be there from the start, and some kind of assessment of every single aspect of the job is helpful to pick out the bits that may well be a particular issue. And rather than it being seen as special treatment, we have to think that actually this is about enabling somebody to be the best employee that they can. So it's about levelling the playing field. It's not about somebody getting more. It's about enabling them to be the most productive member of staff that you possibly have. And the support shouldn't just come in when something goes wrong, because in my experience, that's what happens. So everybody's ticking along fine, we don't need anything, and then there's a huge crisis, a big problem, a big competency issue, and all of a sudden the cavalry are called in. But the job's on the line at that point, and the goodwill has gone with the colleagues, and sometimes it's too late to retrieve that for everybody. But if we put something in place earlier. I also work as a workplace assessor. In England, disability law requires that if you disclose that you have a disability in the workplace, you are entitled to an assessment of your job, all of the conditions of your job, and then some recommendations for the kind of support that you might need, and that's by law. And so what I do is go in and make those reports and those assessments for individuals on the autistic spectrum.
Video by Sarah Hendrickx was in 2016. We now have 2021, and I am actually right now struggling with this. I have a long history of choosing the wrong job. It started already at school, where nobody had an idea that I was autistic, so I didn't get the support for that, and it was difficult for me to concentrate and understand what the teacher was saying in a noisy classroom with so many distractions from all those kids in the room. When you are empathic, then you will feel every single vibration. If they rustle with paper or move around in their chair or whatever, it's a distraction. It's too many people in one room. It's just that. And those kids, they at least have a desk for themselves. When I went to school, we always had a double desk. And then if you sat next to the wrong person, and it was always for several months, that was very close. Having a person that you didn't like so close for such a long time, for me that was very stressful. Anyway, and the weird smell and all of that, nobody knew that I had a difficulty with numbers.
Dyscalculia affects about 6.5% of the population and describes the difficulties that some people have in understanding what numbers mean. Dyscalculia involves difficulty with mathematical skills, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on, with the sequencing of numbers, and with understanding the idea of proportions. What does 4 look like? Why is 5 bigger than 4? It involves a memory of mathematical facts, concepts, and affects things like time, money, and music. Other skills, such as language and reading, may be well advanced, and visual memory for the printed word is often good. Dyscalculia also affects a sense of direction, affects trouble reading maps, telling the time, dealing with mechanical processes, dealing with schedules and calendars and keeping track of time and knowing the sequence of past and future events. There tends to be a correlation with dyslexia of about 40% and about 11% correlation with ADHD. The genetic factors involved seem to influence the development and functioning of certain key parts of the brain, such as the parietal lobes and the frontal lobes and the occipitotemporal lobes. This in turn affects the kind of mathematical processing that goes on within and between those regions, which eventually manifests itself as the characteristics of dyscalculia. Similar areas of the brain seem to be involved with dyslexia and reading, so it's perhaps not surprising that there is such a strong correlation between dyslexia and dyscalculia.
I'm still not diagnosed with that one, but obviously I really struggle with all kinds of maths, and my grades were never good. And it's really unfair. If you are not good at maths, you have no chance for university. Cannot get there because all they want you to be good at is maths. But you don't need that in life. What you need is life skills. This is what should be taught in school. On top of my invisible disabilities, I was also blessed with selective mutism and very, very shy, and then you cannot really talk properly. You miss out. It's very difficult to communicate your needs. Now it has gotten a bit better. Even Zoom online meetings or Skype, I dare to add to the conversation, so that is a big progress. But then I have what I call reversed stage fright. I feel okay behind stage, but when I stand in front of people and they would want me to give a presentation, no bloody way. I would fall apart, tremble, and possibly have a meltdown right in front of everybody, and just lose my voice, possibly. It is about feeling too many eyes on my body, and that's so stressful that the voice is just gone. I have a very hard time with people from work that are my superiors. I'm always kind of nervous, on the edge, and very careful not to say the wrong thing, which is a bit hard to navigate. And often I find myself agreeing to things I don't want to agree to, or not being able to explain myself and my autistic needs. And all those years I have worked for this company right now, I have felt really invalidated, not taken seriously. I felt misunderstood completely. But they didn't know that I am autistic, and I didn't know, so that is that. So, but now they actually have to agree to certain terms for my autistic needs, but we will see what will happen. Back to situational mutism. Contrary to when I talk to my superiors, when I'm surrounded by people I feel understood, heard, seen, and it feels safe, then that's a completely different situation, and there I am very articulate, I'm not shy, and there is rarely selective mutism at play. When that happens, then it is from sensory overload, but that's not the same. I'm not nervous in that moment, but exhausted, and then it's also difficult to be articulate, but that's another matter. However, when there are so-called autism experts that see you as the diagnosis sitting in the room but not the human being, when you are objectified, put into a box, why would you want to share anything personal? They judge you anyway, and they completely turn anything you say against you. They cannot be trusted. And then I feel it's useless to invest into making them understand what your needs are. They don't listen. They don't really care. So it's pointless. Well, I really was always interested in psychology, but I just couldn't do that because of this hidden disability. So you see where this is going. The job I have right now, it's a workplace of stress, and the pressure to perform is too much for me as an autistic. I barely can keep my head over water at times. I just struggle, and the more pressure they apply, the more stressful it gets. It can actually cause pain in my body, fibromyalgia and migraines, as a direct result of stress. So I am aware that I need to get out of this job. The sooner the better. I have struggled enough. No matter how much I try, it's not an autism-friendly workplace. So that's why I applied to the disability organization, and hopefully they will see that this job isn't working for my nervous system and my health in the long term. I tried it for almost 10 years now, but the lockdown has really shown me how much stress my workplace actually is causing me, and how much I thrive in an autism-friendly environment when there is no such demand pressure. So all those jobs I had, it was learn by doing, and I definitely have learned some good stuff, but it was a job without a real purpose, just leading nowhere. All it did was paying my bills, but never enough money to put aside to pay for the education I would love to have. So it's not fulfilling. It burns you out because you struggle, you try to keep up while being misunderstood and bloody pressured into performing in a way that you can't. It's frustrating. And deep down you feel sad because you try and it's not really working. So I really, for once in my life, would love to have a job that gives me joy and purpose. I really would love to work with autistics and give support and share my experience and bring everything I have learned into this and become a somatic experience practitioner. But then there is no money for that. So how to ever get out of this situation? That's like turning in a hamster wheel. So that's why I need outside interference, and hopefully it will turn out well.
Unless I'm out speaking, so I'm alone. I have no office, I have no uniform, I don't have to be on show from morning till night every day in a factory or a shop or an office environment. And I manage all of the physical stuff in the environment. I have big problems with air conditioning and lighting and those sorts of things. So for me, those are important factors. Again, it might not be the same for everybody else, but by taking those into account, it increases my capacity to work and to earn money and to enjoy what I do, rather than dreading going in every day. I manage my own schedule. I'm a self-employed person. If something comes my way and I don't want to do it, I'm allowed to say no. If you're in a workplace, sometimes that's not okay. I manage my schedule and my diary. I know exactly where I am for the next 6 months, every single day. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. That suits my need for routine and sameness and all of those kind of things. And I don't have those long-term colleague relationships that I find very, very, very different. Autonomy, being permitted to do things my way, being trusted to achieve the outcome, and doing what I'm good at. I like talking, I like educating, I like sharing knowledge. So I found something which enables me to do that. And I would suggest that maybe that's something to kind of think about. So in order to, just to sum up really, to understand, I think the key to successful work is to know who you are. Understand your autism, understand your personality, understand yourself. Know where your big spikes are, know where your troughs are. The more you bend from who you naturally are, the more stress you're likely to put yourself under. So yes, we can't be fussy because it's a difficult job market, but if you bend too far, there's a good chance that it might not work out, but there's also a good chance that you might become unwell or certainly miserable from the experience. And don't be afraid to ask for support, even if you're a genius, even if you're a PhD student. If you need support in those other areas, just ask for it, because that's the way you're going to be successful and be able to show your kind of skills. Allow yourself plenty of downtime. Don't compare yourself to other people who may have bigger and fuller and more active lives. If you just go to work and then you come home and you're just in solitude, relaxing, then that's good enough. If that's what your life looks like, then that works for you. Don't compare yourself to other people. That's a very big mistake. Wherever you can, do what makes you happy, excited, challenged, not what other people should think you should do. You've got to wipe some of those expectations if they're much higher than your ability to kind of manage. And think about those jobs. Where's the square hole? Where's the place that I fit? Really analyse all of those bits and pieces and think, what is it that I can do?
Autism also makes life really hard. I mean, I'm one of these hidden people. I'm one of the clever women who have a whole history of terrible disasters, of jobs, of relationships, of crises, of mental health problems, of suicidal thoughts. But on the face of it, I look pretty capable and I can make a joke. So actually, I look like I'm much kind of more resilient perhaps than I am. And perhaps I look like life's easier than it is. But that's all there. We must not forget that. You know, we're talking about humour here, but let's not forget that behind the scenes, all of this is still going on. It's still going on for me and everybody else with autism at any kind of point in the day. Life is shit, and life is more shit for people with autism than it is for other people. And that's brilliant. I love to know that. And I find that people with autism that I work with are actually really, we quite like to just go, yeah, we should expect life to be shit. That's okay. And there's a humour there, there's a darkness there that's actually quite liberating and quite a nice thing to kind of think about. Specific things, very specific things that happen to me that cause me great entertainment. Not at the time, I should add. At the time that all these things happen, I am utterly devastated. But afterwards, I'm able to kind of laugh about it and pick up on some of these things. Recognising people. I have terrible trouble recognising people. I can't recognise faces very well. I never know who anyone is. If you ever walk up to me and I just stare at you randomly, please just tell me who you are. I might think you're wonderful, but I have no clue who you are whatsoever. Can't recognise you at all. There's humour, but there's also the kind of sadness and the regret, and there's the difficulty in not being able to do all of these kind of things. I'm devastated, I'm mortified, but actually later on I can forgive myself, and that's something that I've learnt to do, and I think it's something that's very powerful and something that I hope that perhaps we can support other people in autism in learning to do. Cut yourself some slack. Everybody makes mistakes. If I laugh at myself, nobody else can. It's empowering. If I own it, you will own it too. You won't think negatively of me. You'll know that I get it. You'll know that I understand that maybe I did make a mistake. But you know what? Who cares? There's something very empowering about kind of taking that kind of thing on board. It's about self-preservation. It's about self-awareness. It's about acceptance. I'm not going to justify the fact that it was fine for me to do or say those things. I know that in neurotypical terms they weren't acceptable, but I didn't mean to, and I never meant any harm, and I'm aware of it, and I'm sorry. Can we move on? So there's something about just take me as I am. I'm all right. I'm not an intentionally difficult kind of person. For me, I go even further. I tell people like you about all of these things, and actually that empowers me even more. That makes people accept me. It just says, you know what, this is my life. It's all right. And if that helps somebody else with autism to go, oh my God, she's just done something really ridiculous, then that's good too. It's about kind of sharing this. Sometimes I think we can be very protective and very scared because we've had negativity, because we've had these difficult times, and that people don't want to admit their vulnerabilities. But actually, I think admitting vulnerability is a good thing. It makes us human. It makes us connect. It's a strong thing to be able to kind of do. The elephant in the room, the existence is acknowledged. I know that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Oops, silly me. Oh, this is what I do when I'm stressed. Whatever. If that's acknowledged, explained, laughed about, whew, the tension goes. There's that sense of, does she know what she's just done? Oh, she does. Oh, thank God for that. The retention is gone. There's a relaxation. The whole experience is slightly better. Everybody feels a little bit easier, a little bit happier. There's a safety about people needing to feel safe. I can feel safe if I know that you know that what I'm about is not deliberate, it's not awkward, it's not offensive. It makes me feel safe, and it makes me feel likely to continue. If I have too many negative experiences, I just won't go anymore. I'll just withdraw, or I'll just give up. And that tends to be what most people with autism do, just give up. Logic tells you, what's the point in this? What's the point in people? What's the point in me trying? Because actually nobody gets me. There's no point. You know what? I'm just going to stay on my own because it's easier. A lot of people I know with autism, it's just easier. So, you know, people relationships are complicated. Why bother with all of those kinds of stuff? So how does humour help me? It helps me put things in perspective. I've got autism. I live in a world which is designed for and by people who don't have autism. Nothing makes any sense at all. I should absolutely expect to get stuff wrong, and despite that, I'm all right. That's quite a strong position to get yourself to, isn't it? And that's what I hope and I try to do in my work with other people with autism, is to get them to that point. And for a lot of people, that's hard going. That's a huge thing to do, just to go, it doesn't matter. I might cock up. Everybody cocks up. Everybody's okay. People forget. Nobody really cares. It's okay. We can kind of be ourselves.